Is it ironic that I'm like drinking tea in a grey expectations mug and I'm going to talk about rejection? Maybe it is. Rejection isn't something that is fun to share or talk about, but I think it's important that we open up and share with others what are our own experiences with rejection, to kind of make it a bit easier for everyone else who is going through something that you probably have gone through at some point in your life. So today I wanted to talk about 3 jobs that I thought I was perfect for, but that I actually got rejected for. It wasn't easy. It was like actually quite heartbreaking at the time. But I will share with you at the end of this video one thing that all these rejections had in common that actually changed my career. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Ayn and I share videos on career and personal development. I work in book publishing as an events manager, and so you can expect some insights into the industry as well. Before I share with you the 3 jobs that I was rejected for, which is quite a personal story, I would love if you could subscribe to my channel and like this video to support me. When I first started applying for jobs in publishing and afterwards in events as well, one thing that I remember very clearly was this fear of being rejected. I knew that I didn't have all the experience that many other candidates had, and I knew that I was going into it from a slightly different angle, and I didn't know how that would pan out for me. So I always kind of had in the back of my head the certainty that I was going to get rejected for most jobs. Now, don't get me wrong, I ended up landing a job in publishing and then a job in events, and I am now exactly where I'm supposed to be. But back then, it was quite difficult to know whether you were going to even get an interview. But anyway, let's get right into it. I will share now 3 jobs that I thought I was perfect for that I actually got rejected for. Job number 1. This was at the very beginning of my career, and I remember seeing this role whilst I was so busy trying to send out as many applications to publishing houses as possible. I saw this role and I thought, this is it. This is the role for me. It was as an international sales assistant for Italy, and I was ticking all the boxes according to the job description. So I got into this application very confident, and I thought, I mean, this is it. This is my moment. This is the job that I have been waiting for. I had been applying for many different roles, mostly in production and sales, because that's where my experience laid, and I was getting interviews, sure, and I was doing okay in the interviews, but it was always ending with, we're really sorry, you presented yourself very well, but there was another candidate that had more experience than you. Which is a heartbreaking thing to hear when you're starting in an industry, because it's like, well, that's great. I know that there's probably someone who has more experience than me because I am just about to start out. But this time with this role, I was like, that's it. That's me. And now as I am saying this to you, I'm thinking, of course that was not me. I wasn't the only Italian person applying for a job like that. And I wasn't the only person that loved sales as much as I did and that had experience in that field. So I actually ended up getting an interview, and I was overjoyed, and I prepared for the interview, and I was kind of like in the swing of doing so many that I was pretty well prepped already. I went to the interview, and obviously it was half in English and half in Italian to actually showcase that I could speak both languages fluently, which thank God I did. So this is like a thing, do not lie about your languages, because you never know when they're gonna ask you to speak. Or maybe you're gonna have someone in the interview like I did who was from Italy and just like switched to Italian. And I remember being like so stressed about the fact that this was my job. I needed to do well. I needed to be great because it was just like it. This was it for me. And you are probably gonna guess it because of the title of this video, but I did not get this job. I had invested so much in this job that I thought was just perfect for me, and how could anyone be more perfect for it than me? And then the funny story is that I actually know the person that landed that job, and this person is perfect for that job, and it was the person that was meant to be in that position. it was quite interesting for me to like actually go through that, because I realized how essentially everything is subjective. It's all about perspective. From your point of view, you might look at a position and think, I tick all the boxes. I would love to work on these books or on these events. I would love to be a part of this publishing house or this company. But actually, it isn't as simple as that. And sometimes, because you don't have the full picture and because you actually don't know the people that work in the company, or you might not know the product as well as you think you do, during the interview process and during the recruitment process, someone actually finds out that you're not quite the perfect match for it. But that's not the point. The point for me is that that was like the first time that I got a rejection that felt personal. And I think this is like something that is true for everyone. It is really hard to not take rejection personal, especially when you're so invested into a job application or into trying getting into a specific industry. And if you haven't watched my video on how to deal with rejection, I am going to link it in the description down below, and do go check it out, because I've got some tips to kind of like manage those feelings and manage to deal with rejection, which is a completely natural part of anything in life. Job number 2. This was slightly different than the first one. I had been in my career for a few years, and I was trying to transition into events. And I was applying for any role that had an element of events. So there might have been hybrid roles between, sales and events, or there might have been roles where it was more about sort of like conferences and campaigns rather than pure events. But I was really excited because I knew that I wanted to make this happen for me, and I was really committed. So this role was for, I believe it was for an events coordinator position. When I saw events coordinator being advertised, I just thought, oh my God, that's it. This is the role that I've been waiting for. I have been prepping. I had been prepping by then for the past like 6 months, really being focused on building my events experience, building my profile and my network within publishing events. And I was so ready. I was ready to take the next step, and I saw that role and thought, this is it. This is the magical role that is going to completely change my career and will just make my dream come true, which was to work in events and publishing. And you're gonna guess it, I didn't actually get that role. I put everything that I had into creating a good application and got an interview with the hiring manager. I was super excited, went and smashed my interview. I landed the final interview. And when you get to final interview, you get really excited because you think, okay, I've got a good shot. Usually it's just like between like 2 or 3 people. And so I was really excited, went into it. This was like with someone more senior. These interviews, when you're interviewing with someone that is a lot more senior and is not necessarily going to be potentially your line manager, can be quite tricky to deal with because you don't really know what they're going to ask you. I thought I did okay, but I didn't get that spark. So it wasn't a massive surprise when I got a rejection letter. And I was really heartbroken because I thought, oh, damn it, I should have been prepared better. But the reality was that I was never going to get that position. Sometimes, and I'm gonna say this and I wanna share this, not to try and justify why I didn't get a specific job, but just to like make you understand how nuanced the recruitment process is. I was never gonna get that job because ultimately I was like going into a direction that wasn't aligned with the one of the company that I had applied for. I was like all about ambitious progression and like getting ahead and testing and experimenting new things, whilst that company was more about hiring someone who could take on a very specific role, not do a huge amount with it, but just kind of execute it to the standard that they were setting. And you see, those require 2 very different people. What that experience taught me was that understanding the reason why you're getting rejected can be really helpful. However, you're probably unlikely to be able to talk to the person that has rejected you or with anyone in that company. And so if you don't have that opportunity, just give it a bit of time. And this is like something that I wish someone had told me before. Give it time, because with time, you're going to be able to reanalyze the situation and you'll find some really good learning opportunities for you as well. You'll be able to look back and think of whether you maybe could have done something more, or perhaps whether it was just not the position for you at the time. And as I said, I think it's so nuanced, and there's so many different things that go into you landing your dream job. It's never as easy as, oh, here you go, this is the perfect title, this is what I have been prepping for, this is the right company because I love their books or I love their events. It just doesn't work like that. It's like stars need to align. It's just true. And I don't like it when people just ignore that and say, oh, maybe you've done something wrong, because it's not always like that. So keep that in mind. Job number 3 was a shock. I was really baffled. This was a job that was quite specific, mid-level, so sort of like management level. This was like me going from being a manager to being a manager. So not, like not trying to get a promotion or trying to get a step up. And now I remember this job very well because I was on holiday when I found out that there was this job going. And it was so much so the perfect opportunity that I wasn't even necessarily looking for a job at the time, but I saw that opportunity coming up and I thought, okay, I must apply for this. Well, this job is for a company that I absolutely love. So I have shown great passion in my cover letter and my application. And I have all the knowledge that is necessary to achieve the goal that this person was supposed to achieve stepping into this new role. And so naturally I thought, okay, well, surely I'll at least get an interview. Little did I know that I wasn't even gonna get a call back. No one even wrote to me. Well, surely you can't have received that many applications. But then again, I remember and reminded myself of very similar thought that I had at the beginning of my career. And so I was doing the same thing with this job, but clearly that was the wrong thing to do because actually I didn't get a call back. So there must have been better candidates, better people that were like better suited to do this job. Perhaps there was something in my CV and my cover letter that just didn't click with the person that was recruiting. And especially when you're trying to make it into your first steps in an industry, or if you're trying to switch between careers, it can be so hard because you've got to maintain a certain amount of like confidence while also being realistic, while also balancing having to do all these applications, which, let's face it, it's basically a full-time job just to apply for a job. And it's really hard to kind of like deal with the rejection. I think what was particularly hard in this case for me was also not getting any kind of acknowledgement whatsoever. And I think this is sadly true for a lot of jobs in publishing. I think part of what we need to build as we're working in creative industries and we are faced with huge amount of competition is just resilience, and trying to remember that a lot of the time we don't have the full picture, and that also a lot of the time it has really nothing to do with us. So we probably have done everything that we could. We probably have written the best application possible and the best cover letter possible, but maybe it didn't click. Maybe it didn't resonate. Maybe there was someone that wrote something that was better, and that's okay. So if you have got so far, I am really glad, because now I'm gonna share something with you that I'm hoping is going to bring you a bit of hope. After every single rejection that I've mentioned in this video, I landed getting emotional. This is so funny. Oh. After every single job that I've mentioned, and after each and every one of these rejections, I actually landed the perfect job for me. So my message to you is, a rejection doesn't have to be defining, and a rejection doesn't have to be the end of it. Remember that it can be a beginning. It can be an opportunity to actually open your eyes to something that is about to happen in your life that you had absolutely no idea of. And I really want you to hold on to that, because I cannot begin to tell you how many exciting opportunities I have got right after having a massive rejection, something that nearly made me quit. And I know it sounds cliche because a lot of people tell you this, but it genuinely is true. There are so many opportunities out there and there are so many perfect jobs and dream jobs. Don't think for a second that there is only one great job for you. Maybe there's going to be the same role in a different company. Maybe there's going to be a slightly different role, or even a newly created role that didn't exist before that is just perfect for you. So my message for you in this video is keep going. Don't let rejection get you down, and make sure that you just look at every single experience, including rejection, after a little bit of time and with some distance, to see what you can learn from it, because you never know what you can learn from an experience that didn't feel that great at the time. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please don't forget to subscribe. I am actually trying to get to 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube this year, and I would absolutely love your support. If you like this video, click the like button and also leave me a comment down below to let me know your thoughts. Bye!